Yeah,
Good.
and I felt like on Genji, I was very clueless. Like I played Tracer on Ilya as well,
Uh-huh.
right? But this map and the next Lighthouse map, I felt as Genji, I wasn't actively doing much. Just like just right clicking the
Yeah.
tank. That's it. I wasn't
Mhm.
going for dives. I wasn't engaging their backline, and they had a Zen on Lighthouse, and I was never able to go on him. Maybe because I was
Mhm.
playing into the wrong comp. I don't know. Like
All right. So first off, are you're saying when it comes to grab, was it what caught you more off guard? Was it like trying to get around the grab, or was it the fact that you were never prepared for the grab?
the thing is, I knew that I was going to get grabbed, but when I nanobladed, I wasn't prepared for that. So
Yeah.
like my deflect would always come out a bit too late, and this
So
Zarya would always grab the floor or the wall, so I wouldn't be able to deflect it.
so instead of trying to deflect it, just try to completely avoid it, right? We can bait it out by like kind of soft engaging, right? So instead of just going straight in with our blade, right? So instead of when I'm gonna go in the training range here just so we can demonstrate this. I'll try to get my blade online here. But instead of just dashing in and going for our blade is like right away with it, we might want to try to. Sorry, I'm concentrating on just getting blade up here. We might want to just add a delay, right? And then that delay can mix, like, kind of mix up our gameplay to where it messes up with the Zarya. So, for example, with our blade, what we can actually do is, you typically dash up with your blade, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so when we dash up, this can also help throw off sleeps and crowd control. Instead of dashing up and then going straight in, we want to hang in midair for a little bit, and you can actually add in an extra jump. So you see how you have a double jump? What we do is we can jump once, right, or jump blade, and then we can actually jump while midair there with the blade, and then that can throw off sleep, right? Because if she launches sleep at us, she's going to be expecting us to dash straight at her. This can throw off grab, and then it adds in a delay to make sure that we're basically throwing them off, right? Other than that, try to dash to where it's hard for Zarya to get us. So I'm going to dash up so you can see what it looks like. So jump, dash, blade, jump. Okay, and then we can go in, right? So you're adding in that little bit of delay, and on top of that, you are mixing up your mobility by adding in that second jump, right? That's pretty much what your second jump is used for. Is we do one jump, and then the second jump we can use to redirect ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that can be helpful to dodge out something like a grab, right? Oh, we were on Ilios there,
Yeah.
Now arriving at Ilios. Ready for battle. 5.
right? So on our team, pretty much all we have to combo with our blade is just a nano boost.
And maybe like pile driver.
Yep. That's a little bit complicated, so we might have trouble trying to combo with that. That's something I'd really only try to combo, or like, you can try calling for that if you know the person especially, but don't expect it to work super well because that's a harder ability to combo with. So maybe at a higher rank, or if you're in a team environment, that's gonna work a lot easier. Because even at Grandmasters, that's very hard to pull off. Okay, so we got a pick. We can look to play a little bit more aggressive. Ball's going in.
So over here, I expect to get the dash back and dash back in, but I don't get the dash back.
Yeah, that's an issue. Whenever we see that our dash is going to kill them, try not to go in with a right click too, right? Just regular dash, because us sending the, if we know that they're 1 HP and our right clicks and our dash is going to kill them. Ooh, oh, okay. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
There's a big thing
So
there.
yeah, so over here, like I tried to go behind, but Zarya was about 50 charge. So
Yeah, so first off, pay attention to what's up with your team, right? So even though this is a good decision to get aggressive, it's now a bad decision because our team decided to not get aggressive, right? Look at where 4 of our teammates are. So if we're paying attention to where our team's at, then we know that this is pretty much feeding on our part, because we're going in when our team's not with us. So we're essentially 2v 1, 2, 3, 4, 5ing, right? 2v 5ing. So not a good decision timing wise, and then that's really unfortunate with the with a dash there. Big thing there was just our awareness.
Yeah, I died a lot in this.
Yeah.
So I see that Zarya's pushing without.
Hmm?
I think Zarya's pushing with a bubble, so I'll just go directly on her.
Okay. Did we talk about target priority last time?
Mm, not so much. We only touched on it.
Touched on it? Okay, so tanks. Okay. Tanks are typically not ever going to be our main priority. Because of the fact that tanks have 3 times the health of a squishy target, so squishy being any non-tank, so a support or DPS. Supports and DPS statistically get more value than takes do more than tanks, right? So DPS do the damage, supports do the healing. Tanks exist to create space for supports and DPS. So if we typically, if we have the opportunity to, we never want to focus tanks because they're going to be the hardest things to kill. And then also at the same time, right, Mercy and Ana, it's harder for Mercy and Ana to pocket each other, right? Because Ana can't really heal herself as easily as Ana can heal Reinhardt. Mercy can't heal herself as easily as she can heal Reinhardt. They can pocket each other, but they can't get that double pocket going. But they can both heal Reinhardt, right? So it's gonna be a lot harder to focus the tanks than it is to focus these other squishier targets. So make sure that when we're coming to this fight, that our number one targets that we're looking at are the tanks, right? Tanks, we can focus tanks if they're out of position. We can focus tanks if they're low. We can focus tanks if they are the only thing to shoot at. But if we're coming to this fight and the only thing that we're shooting at all fight is tanks, then we're going to be struggling because we're not killing the things that are doing all the work and the things that are the hardest to kill. Oh,
Yeah, but I have all the time whenever I play, I find it like really tough to kill like Messi's and Anas together because they just end up pocketing each other, and my damage or like my time to kill is long enough for someone to just turn around and then shoot at me, and then I have to use cooldowns to get out and basically get
yeah.
no bad.
So then in that case, wouldn't it be even harder to kill Reinhardt who has more health, more shields, and get pocketed by 2 supports? And if you even if you are unable to kill the supports, you being on them and forcing them to pocket each other, what does that do for their front line?
It like denies the front line the sustain it needs to.
Yes.
Uh,
So when their supports are pocketing each other, that means that Reinhardt and Zarya no longer get heals, and that means that they're easier to kill by your team. So it's a necessary role, even if we're not able to kill stuff, which we should be a lot of times, especially like we're running a ball, we're running a soldier. Essentially, you should never really be hard engaging on their backline. What you're doing is you're looking for opportunities. So you poke on their backline, you distract them, right? You poke that you duel their DPS, you poke the supports, and then if you see something that's low or you see something that's out of position, right? Then you hard engage and you dash in and you kill it. Or if your ball opens up, right, he comes in and slams on the Ana. You see Ana's half. You like dash through her while right click dash through her while she's midair, right? That's just examples of when we can hard engage. But essentially, like it's still a necessary job that we have to do on Genji because Genji's isn't a tank buster, right? Genji isn't like it's not our job as a DPS to just focus the tanks and that's it, right? Because we're gonna see that like you'll see like if you go and watch high level gameplay, tanks aren't the main focus of DPS, right? They're the side focus if that's the only thing that they can shoot at, or if the tank is low or out of position, right? Does that all make sense?
yeah, it does.
But see, you can see so far the only thing that we have shot at is the Reinhardt, right? And he just gets pocketed, and then
Yeah,
he never ends up dying, right?
yeah.
But then we see like ball come in and slam 3 people. We can, just maybe dash through the Ash, for example, or the Mercy, and then that just, ball comes in, he does damage. We get the right click dash through, and that just puts people down really really low. Um,
So yeah,
what were you saying?
um, This is kind of inting because like we've kind of lost 5 bridges stalling at this point.
Yeah, so I think this is fine because we have point. Okay, we still have 4 people alive. At this point, it's fine for us to be on point because we're just essentially we should just be fighting this fight until they win the fight. Um, there's no reason to try to feed and die here because then we're just kind of giving them extra point progress for free. Whenever you are on the defense, you always want to die on point, right? That way you stall it out as long as possible. So in this situation, yeah, we keep fighting the fight, try to win the fight. Your teammates might even get back here. Maybe be hesitant on using your hesitant to use your ultimate, but this is fine to be in this fight right now. Okay, so now I was saying to be hesitant to use your ult because now we're trying to use Blade when it's a 3v6. When we don't have Ana, Ana doesn't have Blade, so this ult might not see much success, and now this is probably where it's a bad decision. But before that, that's fine because we're just stalling. But it's unlikely that that Blade's actually gonna let us win the fight, right? Because we see
Mercy
we
just gets
use.
the res off.
What do you say?
The Mercy just gets the res off.
Yeah. So we use Blade, and then we use Mines, and we see, okay, well, let's watch this fight go through. We're still gonna end up losing this fight, most likely here.
Yeah, maybe
Now,
commit nano.
our team does end up stalling this out, so we get like an extra 10% out. What is that? So when did we use Blade? Is trying to see.
46-ish. So,
Okay, so at 47, then we keep stalling it out. Okay, let's see at what point do we stall to. So, I guess we can come back to your perspective. So we get the Pharah. Alright, so our team's doing a good job of stalling this, though keep in mind at higher ranks, they will finish you guys off faster, right? And that might not become... Okay, it looks like we actually might be able to pull this back around. But, at a higher rank, that's a disadvantage, so it's... a lot of times you want to go for the more solid statistically, the better answer, right? If we're at a disadvantage, we don't want to try to win at that disadvantage. We want to try to win when we have an advantage or when we have an kind of 50-50 chance of winning.
mhm.
Not when we don't try to clutch it when we have a 10% chance of winning. We try to save our ults and then come back in. Okay, target priority again, right? Focus the Mercy on the left, who's by herself, right? Out of position, right? We can very easily punish her there. And is pocketing the tanks instead of trying to focus the tanks who are just going to get pocketed by Mercy, right? Mercy's going to be probably at this point like 4 times easier to kill than Azaria or Reinhardt here.
Yes. I don't know. Is this something about like okay?
What do you
Is
say?
this something about Mercy's hitbox that like I cannot hit a Mercy for some?
I mean, we hit her there.
Yeah, but we just get right click to death.
I will not waste this chance.
Right, so this is an example, I would probably say, of just because just because the mistake wasn't punished doesn't mean it wasn't a mistake when it came to your blade usage. Your team did come back and end up winning the fight, but maybe against higher level teams that are able to punish you guys better when they're it's a 6v2 or 6v3. That's a situation where the blade's going to get a lot less usage. So might want to just at least be aware and consider holding on to it in a situation where we're losing the fight. Right. So again, look to approach from the sidelines, not the exact frontal angle. Actually, I think going for the fire strike deflect actually is fine here. We just don't necessarily want to walk straight into the Reinhardt, because then that means we're just taking a whole lot of extra damage. Instead, we might want to stick behind our Reinhardt if we're just trying to brawl on the front line. Alright, so we won the first round. Okay, coming in the next one.
So this was really weird. Somehow they won, and like we played dive, but we
Hmm?
didn't play dive.
Hmm.
Like our monkey was brawling, not exactly diving.
Yeah.
That was a bit weird
Mm.
because plus like Orisa Golden and Zen's Discord, it really made it very tough for me because the Pharah would just like two shot me, and somehow their Pharah was just hitting every single direct, like it was her good day or something. And
Um, I would imagine just based off of the name that she has, that might be a Smurf account because that seems like a common. If she's hitting every single shot and that she's called Rocket Trash, oftentimes that's an indication that it's a Smurf because if they're naming themselves after a character, they're not going to name themselves out after a character if they haven't played the game before. Um,
yeah,
so that's just. But of course, you still want to try your hardest against Smurfs, and it's a good practice environment. Okay, so here we're doing a kind of a wide wrap, which can be hard to follow up if we see our teams diving in.
so I see the dive in, but I'm pushing a bit too late,
Hmm?
and then I just dip here.
No, that's fine. We just went in. We just wait for our abilities to come back.
The objective is
So like lots of cluelessness.
Yeah. Again, make sure who are the easiest people to kill on their team.
The Zen and the Messi.
Yep. Yet we're coming in and we're focusing the Orisa again, right? Who has three times the HP, has fortify, has shields, and can
And
get
an ult.
pocketed. So just be aware, right? We want to be focusing targets that are easy to kill.
Yeah, but like Messi's ego jump just like it's really annoying because I can never. The thing is, as the closer I get to diamond, a lot of Messi players abuse
Mm-hmm.
the elevated jump, and then they just become instantly out of reach because my mechanics with Genji aren't the best yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
So when we're going up against a Mercy like that, then we kind of get on top of her. We right click. She does the jump. Then we can left click dash while she's midair. When she does the jump, yes, it makes us kind of lose track of her, but it's also a very if she's trying to stay in the air, she has to float, right? Otherwise, she just drops back down to the ground instantly. So when she's floating in the air, they become super easy to just track her while she's midair. We can dash at her to get closer to her, right? This just becomes just somebody up on a high ground, right, or a Pharah, right? So it's decently easy, especially if she's just slowly floating around, to just dash upwards at her, right? So we're on top of her, we're jumping around her, we right click her, but then all of a sudden she jumps up and she's up there now, right? We just go like this, we dash, and then we can follow it up with a right click if we need to, right? Um, Now, if she gets completely outside of our range and she's impossible to kill, then don't keep following her. But a lot of times, you'll notice that us being on her initially before she goes for the jump, we're gonna do enough damage to where she's getting out at that HP, right? And then all we have to do is just follow it up with a dash, and then we're good. So we just want to just make sure we're getting on top of her. And then if she goes for that jump, all we need to do is just track her and go in for that dash kill, right? To where we're doing that.
yeah,
So just be smart about it. Don't dash at her before she goes for the jump. Unless you see that she's 1 HP and you can kill her.
now arriving at Ilios. Ready for battle.
Actually, I think we're before that. You're right here.
at this point I'm just thinking I should die on point.
Yeah, that's fine. You just want to kind of poke or get out. To be honest, because they got points. So yeah, we just get out. That's good. Let's get healed up. All right, so we're coming up on Nanoblade. Um, they have trance. We need to pay attention to the fact they have trance. What other abilities do we need to watch out for while we're blading,
Um,
or before we go for the blade?
so probably Aritha Halt or the Forest Boop. Maybe
Uh,
Grab.
No. There's two other big ones that we need to make sure that we pay attention to.
Bubble and Transcendence.
Yep, Transcendence.
Maybe?
I was saying yeah. Transcendence I wasn't including because I already mentioned that. So Bubble, yes, is the big one. If we want to try to wait out until after they've used bubbles, because if we try to go in when they have bubbles available, that essentially just slows down our blade by a lot. Now, what's the other one we have to watch out for?
Discord?
Nope, that's not something that we can stop or account for.
Um.
Reaper Wraith, right? Reaper.
Oh
We
yeah.
want to make sure that we're not dashing at a Reaper if we know that he is able to get away. So, things like we don't want to dash at targets that are hard to kill, right? Because then they end up wasting our time and they get away. So Tracer has recall, more as fade. So wait out these abilities. May is ice block. So don't dash at those characters if you know that they are able to just kind of wait you out or get away from you super easily, right?
Hmm.
So we got to watch out for those things. They have trance. So we have a few different options, right? We're gonna have a hard time going for blade if they have the trance. Now you can slash dash through it, but I find that to be slightly inconsistent. It's pretty hard to do. Um, but especially if people are running away from you and whatnot. Essentially, what we can try to do here is kill him right off the bat, make sure he's our number one priority, try to kill him. If it's taking too long and you are not able to kill him, then we can try to slash dash through it. We can attempt to go for people who are outside of his trance range, right? So if we come into this fight and we see that Zenyatta's sitting on point, but then we have, Mercy's over here, Pharah's over there, right? Reaper's over there, and they're all spread out, then then that means that Zenyatta's trance isn't going to be able to cover everywhere at all times, right? So we can look to go for people outside of it.
Yeah.
Okay, whenever we're looking for a blade here, we can pretty much just call for Ana to nano. Since we are 80% our ult, we can get to like 85 or something like that, and then we can call for Ana to nano us, and we can get our ult just by dashing through them and shooting them a couple times, right? That's always a strat that we can go for just running a little bit late on blade. Is you get the nano, you dash through a couple tanks, you right click, and then you're good. You have it.
Yeah, but then the Pharah here comes in maybe weak.
Okay.
I feel like I should really not go through like indoor places with the Pharah over there because she gets that splash damage.
Yeah, I probably would say like unless we're trying to match the Pharah, we just because we know that they have a Pharah and she's taking control of high ground. If we're not trying to duel her, maybe take a direction that's not going in her like, direct line of sight, right?
Yeah.
That forces us to back up. They use trance early. Very winnable for us, right? We have 6 players, right? So we can pretty much go in here pretty much as soon as the trance runs out, or we can even tell in the last like second of it, tell Ana just nano me, right? Dash in, we get our blade, and then we go, right? Because we do need that extra second to get the blade up. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't go rest it there. Or were you aware of the fact that you could just, or I guess that it's not necessarily a super secret tech, but it is something that a lot of players don't really even think of, is that even when we're 85 to roll, we can be looking to use our ult on a Genji because we can just dash in and get it. So just go nano me, right? Get your honor nano you, go in, and then we can just get super aggressive with that. There we try to back out, and then that results in our death. And then now we don't get value out of blade.
Yeah, I wasn't really in VC because I was like getting roasted
Oh,
in
okay.
the chat. So yeah, that was a quick instant voice chat leave. So yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, if you're trying to stay in just to yell nano me, you can just literally mute every person on your team, and then that way you can still talk, but you can't hear anyone. That's I say especially on Genji because Genji requires some communication to get your ult off smoothly. Now you can, yeah, I'd probably say that might be a really good way to approach it. So that way you can just go nano me, right? And then that, or nano Genji, right? That way you actually get the blade off fast and effectively there. Now here, I'd imagine this is where you maybe get grabbed. Um, if we
Yeah.
know that they have grab, try your best to juke it out. Don't dash in immediately once we use our blade, right? Because then that's gonna be super easy for Zarya to get you. If we maybe go in at a delay, Zarya might end up grabbing on accident.
So we beat here, or
Right.
and I get accidentally caught in.
Yeah, so it looks like she might even knowledge just before we go for the blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she grabs pretty much immediately as we're going for blade. First off, uncoordinated with Ana, so we don't get the nano immediately, so that comes from communication. Second off, yeah, that's super unfortunate. Maybe try to not stick on top of your team, but she also kind of solo grabbed the Lucio.
Yeah.
Alright, make sure that you're not panicking while you're in that grab. Pick out the best target to dash towards when you're out of grab, because that you do have, when grab ends, you have a whole 3 seconds left in your blade, which you can do a lot in 3 seconds. So in my mind, I'm picking out Mercies and Yalana right? So
I mean, I could have also slashed the Zarya. She was getting a lot closer on the left.
yeah, so that's also a possibility, right? But Zarya also takes 2 slashes to take out, so make sure while we're in the grab that we're taking the most of the situation and slashing at the Zarya if she's right there, right? So that's something you can go for. But then also we dash past the Mercy, right? When we are looking for dashes, now we might have gone over this last time. I can't recall at all. But if we're looking for a dash and we know it's going to go past them, dash into the floor. That way we don't go past them, right? Because if we dash like this, we go past them and we can't follow up with the slash, right? Or we just end up going straight through them. But instead, if we dash, right here, we can kind of be a lot closer to them. So when dash into the floor, and the floor will cancel your dash, right? So dash pretty much at their feet, and we get the damage still. And then we can end up right on top of them, rather than going straight through them. So we'll try this again, right? We go like this, and then we can't really follow up nearly as easily with that. But if we dash at the floor, then we're right next to them, right? Or if we dash in the direction that we know they're moving, right? Instead of this. Then we end up right here. Okay, so that includes your blade too. So when we're going for those dashes with our blade, make sure we're ending up at their feet. We're not dashing past them. So dash, feet, feet, feet. Right. That's how we stop our blade from going extra far. Or not our blade, our dashes.
Now arriving at Ilios. Ready for battle.
Alright, okay. That ends up wasting pretty much all of our blade.
At this point, the fight's kind of lost already.
I require healing.
Supports are dead, so we just dip here.
Mm-hmm. Alright. That's a good time where I would say yes, dash in at the Orisa. She is lagging behind her team. She is 1 HP. So that I would say yes, that's a good dash, right? Now she's getting pocketed. Yep, still go for it. Okay, we got it. So that's it. I would say yes, that's the situation where we can go for the tanks. Zarya is low again, right? Make sure we're trying to hit those headshots. Did we talk about crosshair placement last time?
Yeah, head level
Yep.
placement.
Exactly, right? Make sure we're going for those headshots so that we're not just hitting every single body, especially on tanks. Tanks are super easy to hit headshots on because they have bigger head hit boxes. Okay. But besides that, good target priority because we went for the tanks, but it was when they were both low HP. So that's when you're watching out for that.
I need healing.
Get back in.
Okay. Right now, I would be doing our best to set up for future Blade and try to be baiting out Trance as best as possible this fight by killing him or trying to like basically just pressure the Zenyatta by getting on top of him, right? I like this position that we're at. Probably don't. I would just stay up there. No reason to drop from it. Right, so we're leaving that position to where we can get on their back line super easily to come to the front line where now we're just spamming as shields.
Yeah, now we're peeling, apparently.
What do you say?
We're peeling for our Ana here.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah, but we could have gone for the supports here.
Yeah, I think that the peeling is fine because we did end up getting the kill, but it was more like before that point. When we back up originally, that it wasn't originally to peel, right? When we drop from high ground before we go for the peel, right? We drop here, poke, and then we see Reaper, right? Reaper's a side thought. Reaper's not originally why we drop. This is fine, but we probably should have already been up on the high ground trying to go for the supports. Okay, we re-engaged too fast there. No reason to go back out and poke when we could just wait an extra second.
Get over here and
Right. Right, we just kind of engaged too fast, right? Because if we pay attention, we have the overtime counter, we're contesting point, and then we just come out too fast, and then that means that we just get picked first.
Fight. Yeah.
Yep, so we just wait an extra second, and then now we have, if we wait that extra second, we have a Nano Blade this fight, right? That can potentially win the fight for us, yet we ended up going in way too early and then getting picked while we have Blade. So we gotta really pay attention to that and watch out for it. Now we end up winning the fight anyways. So they use Trance. This fight, we have 3 other ultimates, and it's 70%. So this might end up being last fight for them. It depends on how far up we get it. Yeah, the fight start. This should be coming up on last fight territory. Yeah, okay, so yes, it will be last fight. Once you can know that by basically around like 85% is where if you get it to 85%, that means that even if they come in like instantly on 85% or they cap it at 85%, or whatever, or no, sorry, that's what I meant. If they come in at 85% and they die, they're going to be staggering back in, and that's pretty much it. So right now this is last fight. We probably should be looking for Blade. Even if we don't have Nano, they don't have Trance for it. Make sure we're focusing the Zenyatta. Watch out for the Mora Fade. Don't go on the Zenyatta first. That will probably bait out Mora to use Fade, right? Because they'll probably be close together. We go Zenyatta first. We kill Zenyatta because he's going to be pretty decently easy to kill. Then we go on Moira next because she'll use Fade, and then we just gotta watch out. And then we can go next, like after that, we can go accordingly to what we see. Watch out, wait for Bubbles to come out. Wait for Reaper to use Wraith if we're going on him. Then we can go for Pharah too if we can dash at her. Zarya uses first Bubble, so we're watching out on that. We probably want to wait until she uses the projected too, and then we can just go in whenever. Okay.
It was like a really weird placement.
Yep. So here we're waiting too long to use it. We're, instead of maybe being up on the high ground where we can, go on Zenyatta who's out in the open right there, right, get the easy kill on him. We're now on point, finding ourselves on point where the only person to Blade is what, like Orisa, Reaper who can fade away from us or Wraith away from us. That's pretty much it. Right. So wrong position. Be looking to be on the sideline more, where we can use Blade from that high ground and then come in on the Zenyatta. We also use Blade very late into that fight. We might have discussed this last time, but make sure you're not using your ultimate late in fights. Right, the earlier we use their ult, the more value it gets. For example, if Let's just go with Pharah, right? Pharah Barrage, she uses it first. She picks Ball, okay? Or Pharah wasn't even used first, but let's just say she in a fight, Pharah uses Barrage before you use Blade. That Barrage gets kills and damage in, and then that means that now their team has an advantage, and every ultimate that you use does less because you have less follow up for it, right? You have less abilities to combo with it, you have less teammates, and therefore Blade gets less value. So if we're looking to use Blade, by the time we use Blade here, the fight's already been decided. We use Blade after 3 of our teammates are dead, right?
Yeah,
So
this
we're
was bad timing.
probably looked to use a Mosh Rush earlier in this fight before they use their ults, and then now our ult's getting more value than their ults are.
Yeah.
Ready for
Alright, so do we stay on Tracer here?
Yeah, we just play exclusively Tracer here. I felt like my
Mhm.
soldier wasn't doing enough to keep the far out of the sky,
Oh,
so I went to
Tracer's not the best Pharah counter.
yeah, but I also wanted to go under Zen there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
cause my mobility,
mm,
like being able to move faster on the Zen, cause this Zen had like really good aim for
mm.
a plat player.
Yeah, I think the last round was the main thing wasn't that like Zen was being protected um or the fact that we couldn't kill Zen. We just never went on Zen. I saw us like trying to kill Zen like once, and we actually did kill him when we tried to go for him. Every other time, he just didn't really even look at him. We just kind of ignored him. We never went on top of him. So just make sure he's our priority, because when he's not, then we end up just killing nothing and trying to farm tanks and getting nowhere with it.
Because Farah is just chasing me at this point.
Okay, so we get the kill on Zenyatta. We gotta watch for the res because they are on a mercy. Very good. Make sure Crosshair's head level on tanks is gonna be slightly higher, right? But it pretty much is the same. Um, so we blink around here, look at where Crosshair's at, right? Feet, feet, feet. Hitting her arms right instead of her head.
the objective is now
Yeah, so here I'm just trying to poke so that
Yep.
Mercy's passive doesn't come on,
Mm-hmm.
and she stays half for a bit more.
Yep, it's completely fine.
Then I switch to Bray here, and I'm almost considering going back, but I realize I'm 60 on my
Mm-hmm.
pulse. I'll just solo pulse the Bray here.
Mm.
Get Dove here, back up here, wait for my cooldowns a bit more. Poke from distance. Oh, this was bad positioning. Get behind cover. This was a bad pulse on my end, but it made the break a bit more weak. Like, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh boy, he's gonna take a breather, isn't he? And it's gonna be
Yep.
totally negated.
So again, same thing on Genji when we're watching out for things that can counter our ult. We're thinking on Tracer, what things on their team can stop my pulse from existing or doing anything, right? So we watch out for Defense Matrix, we watch for Take a Breather, we watch for Reaper Fade, right? Far we're not really gonna be able to get at, right, ever with a pulse, unless we're coming off of a jump pad or something like that. So we just have to be aware of those things, because if we're not, then he ends up taking a breather, and then we don't get any value out of it. And I don't think it made Brig weaker because he wasn't he ran away from Brig. So Pulse I don't think Brig took damage from that. She just was already low. Okay, good kill on the Brig.
I'm just confused what the Reaper is here. Lose track of him.
double kill.
Very nice.
Helden sterben nicht.
Okay. Before we're re-engaging, try to wait on your abilities to come back a little bit, right? If we're forced out here, we have one single blink. Just wait, just walk forwards and wait an extra 2 seconds, and just like instead of just blinking straight in, just walk in, and then that way it blinks when the fight starts. But we keep using our blinks pretty much every second or so, and that means we never give ourselves time to recharge that blink. And then we're coming into this fight when we only have recall left, right? And that means that we don't have those blinks to dodge around damage, to dodge around stuns, and then we're just gonna have a lot more of a rough time. So wait an extra couple of seconds, or while you're walking into the fight, just walk in instead of blinking in, and now we have our abilities.
Yeah, so over here I stay a bit too long without
Yep.
recalling, and it ends up costing me.
Right now we should probably just be regrouping. We see he's 1 HP, you can chase that. Good job.
Yeah, so
Looking for pulse again here.
yeah,
If we know that we're going for a recall, try not to blink. This is a bad habit that you gotta try to break, because otherwise you're just wasting all of your abilities. Blink, recall, blink is therefore useless. Very nice pulse. Good health pack awareness and map awareness. Yeah, I think ability usage is going to be one of our bigger things, because we're constantly just using blinks every second and then never having any when we're engaging.
I chase here a bit too long, get forced out by Diva here. I'm just looking to run. I feel like I shouldn't have played Tracer into this, considering the fact that Aura can one-shot me.
Yeah, Tracer's not terrible against the Pharah, but she's also, she can't really contest Pharah much. If they get too low to the ground, she can contest them. I think that she's actually better against Pharah now that the new nerf the nerf that she has come in, because now she's gonna be a lot lower to the ground and not just soaring high in the sky infinitely. So she is much better against her now than before. But at the same time, she's not a counter pick by any means. Unfortunate. Yep. Problem is, like, our targets are like just aren't the best. On Tracer, we're just not able to do much here, because we're really the only two things that we've been shooting at are Pharah and Brig. Pharah gets pocketed by Mercy, and Brig is Brig. So she's gonna be pretty hard to kill, and is almost pretty much a counter to Tracer, right? And it has been since the beginning, just because armor does a ton against Tracer. Her giving armor to people and armor on herself means that Tracer does less damage. Especially in comparison to other characters. I don't know if you're aware of that, but armor's better against
60% damage reduction or something.
yeah, I don't know if it's that or not, but it's definitely a lot. So on top of that, she has stun, she has a bunch of health for support. Just got to be careful of it, because they don't. I'd probably say they don't have a fantastic comp to play Tracer in, but Tracer's also a very flexible character. Okay, now that they've swapped off the Mercy, we can now focus Pharah a lot easier, now that they don't have something to pocket her directly. Okay, we got a pick. We got 2, we can play more aggressive.
Just looking for and I failed to press recall again.
Yep, just make sure we're using that recall. A lot of times on Tracer, since you don't have any HP, we need to recall as a prediction. So whenever someone's looking at us and we see they're about to do something, we need to look to use recall. When Pharah directly drops in like that, a lot of the time when she just drops straight down, that's a very clear indication that she's looking to use her ult. That's very good tech on a Pharah's part, and that's another indication that she's probably a Smurf, is that essentially makes it so she's silent and is not making a sound while she's just straight dropping down on you guys. So be looking to, if she's dropping in like that, that's probably a barrage. Look to recall pretty much immediately and just get out of there. right? So if you died twice to that, recall faster. Make sure you're like maybe just blinking out of the way. Don't just stare at her.
Yeah, I was hoping to get damage and then recall, but then I thought I would somehow survive longer,
Yeah,
and that was a Kobe of a pose.
yep. Make sure we're closer. Put some effort into these because these are a very, very, very big part of us getting kills and doing damage, and we've missed 2 of them so far. So you really got to work on making sure we're hitting those. Again, we're using it pretty much right as Hog's using Take a Breather, so this will do a little bit less damage. Probably there. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good contesting of point. Okay, failed to use recall again, right? So that's probably a very big one. Is we're misusing our abilities and we're not using it when we need to, as we've died 3 times with recall available and with blinks available. So when we know we're dying with those, then that's the number one thing we need to work on is make sure we're using that. Probably like around like 75% of deaths we can learn from and fix something, whether it be positioning, ability usage. If we see that we're dying with abilities that can keep us alive, that's a very big deal, because let's say we didn't die 3 times. Not dying 3 times is huge, because that's 10 seconds of respawn time, 5 seconds of walking back from spawn. On slower targets, on slower people, that's 10 seconds. um Tracer's a little bit faster, so that's 45 seconds of gameplay that you're saving, right? Just because you're recalling more often, right? Or you're being faster with that. So we gotta make sure that we're looking to use our abilities a little bit better. All right. So we have 7 minutes left here. Do you possibly have another replay we can go over momentarily, or
Mm,
if you don't, then we can just do kind of a wrap up and go over the things that or review the things that we went over.
yeah, I think we can. It'd be better if we wrap up and then
All
go
right.
over.
So, on our Genji, big things. Make sure that we're looking to get a lot more value out of our ultimate. Look at what things we can use to combo with our ultimate. Bubble, Nano, Mercy, damage boost, right? Ultimates like Graviton, Flux. Now, if we're comboing that with we probably don't need to use combo it with those if we have a Nano boost. But let's say we don't have a Nano boost. A lot of the times, comboing with a Grav or a Flux is going to get a lot of value. Because it groups them all up and puts them in a certain place. Now, when we're looking for blades, communicate with your team. Try to wait out all the abilities that can stop your blade or get like kind of take away value. Same thing with pulse. If we're looking for pulse, look at the enemy team. Think what abilities, what ultimates do they have that will stop my pulse? What abilities, what ultimates do they have that can stop my blade? And we try to wait them out. Try to wait till that person's dead. Try to, if like they have trance or a beat or something, we can try to focus that person first. Now, let's see, other things. So, with Genji, dash into the floor so you're not going straight past them. Look on Tracer and Genji, make sure our priority targets aren't just tanks, right? We want to make sure that we're looking to get around tanks and go for the squishier targets because they have a lot less HP, a lot easier to kill, and they do more in general. Besides that, I think didn't have any problem with deflect usage on Genji. Didn't uh
Yeah.
didn't have any problem, I guess, with our dashes besides just going straight through people. Tracer, look to make sure that we are focusing the right targets. Maybe look to swap off Tracer if we're not like if it's not the most fantastic comp to play it into. Look to make sure we're landing pulses more often, as we only hit about half of them, and that's not really a good track record. If we're only getting landing half of our pulses, that means that's a lot of value we're missing out on.
I, I think we only
Mm.
landed like one actual pulse.
Yeah,
In the whole video.
out
The
of like
whole
3 or 4, yeah. So not a good track record. Make sure we're practicing that. Try not to Kobe them. Get right up next to people. Trying to remember what else we talked about. Position yourself to where it's easier to kill people, right? So instead of standing on the front line, right, that's fine if you're just poking in between a fight, but try to position yourself more to the side of fights, right? To position on high ground so we can kind of drop in on top of supports. So if this is point and the front line and our front lines here, enemy front lines there, instead of just poking at them from this angle, right, where there's shields in the way, come to this side, and now we can poke at them from a side angle where there's no shields. We can look for supports and DPS. We can come from a frontal angle, right? Get above their shields, right? Get above these, and then we can dash in aggressively when we see something's out of position or low, and then get back out to high ground. Thinking of what else we went over. Watch to see when kill feed to see when you're winning and losing a fight, so that we can go in when we're winning, and we can back out and not use ultimates when we're losing. Besides that, do you have any questions about anything that we've gone over?
Uh, I think it's more like mechanics. Do you maybe have like a map or like a workshop code or like some routine that I can improve my Genji game with?
Genji mechanics. There's one I know. I think Necro uses for blade. For practicing his blades. I can try finding you. I don't think. Actually, I'm on Togi too. I might actually have this on here. Let me see if I have this saved. Oh, what? Oh, I'm on Tabugi. Sorry, let me log on to my alt account real quick. Actually,
Yeah.
1 moment. All right. Streaming in a moment here. All right. Genji Blade. All right. So let's see if I think this is the right one, and then I'll demonstrate a little bit, and then I'll give you the code. So this one is real helpful for practicing blade, but it's also possible. I think you can also just practice this normally. There are some special things that you can implement that you can probably figure out at some point where you can give yourself a nano boost. I think, or how do I get this? Power up false. How do I get power up?
Think
Um,
you go up to it and
True.
interact.
Okay, there we go. Yep. I use I press F and then or my interact or whatever, and then it's true now. So now I have a power up so that my ult does more or that I do more, right? This you can, and then you can also turn on healing, which is on false, which will simulate a transcendence, which will mean that you can practice slashing through, or sorry, slash dashing through transcendences. But pretty much you just go slash dash. Oh, I messed that up. I haven't played it all today, so this is gonna be pretty rough, right? You can practice this.
Double, triple kill. Quadruple kill.
Right, so we can just practice that over and over again, and then we can get better at our blade acquiring. Right, we can mix it up and go for different people here. Right, but that's just a custom mode that I think I've seen Necros use. If you know who that streamer is. Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't played it in a couple days, to be honest. All right, so I'm gonna